Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's session of Workforce Life After COVID-19. And we're going to be discussing entry and re-entry back into the workforce after we survive this pandemic, because of course we believe that we will survive. So first things first, we are maybe in a state of unrest right now. Perhaps you're very nervous and you're not necessarily sure of what direction that you want to go in. But I just want to encourage you to take a couple of deep breaths and just relax, because this is a great opportunity for us to do some things that maybe you may not have thought of doing before, that you may not have been prepared for. But as we all know, preparation leads to success. And so we're going to take this time that God is sitting us down to try to focus ourselves and regain the things that we may or may not have been missing, or to improve upon those things. And so the first thing is finding a job if you have been unemployed. So the question is, what were you doing before you became unemployed? Did you like that job? Did you enjoy going to work every day? Did you look forward to getting up in the morning? Because if you didn't, then perhaps that's not something that you want to go back to. This is an opportunity for you to look at yourself and say, what is it that I like to do? What are the things that I'm interested in? Because there is a difference between having a job and having a career. So if you had a job before, perhaps now is the time to make the transition into trying to identify a career. And you can do that by identifying the things that you like to do. I guarantee you, no matter what you like to do, there is a job opportunity for that. If you have a passion for anything, if you have a love for anything, if you like to sew, if you like to knit, if you like to make things, if you like to bling things out, if you like to read, if you like to write, if you like to talk, if you like to work with your hands, if you like to work with people, there are jobs available for all of those skill sets. So you want to make sure that you dig down deep and take this opportunity to reflect on your strengths and your weaknesses. So once you kind of identify what you want to do, what you like to do, if you're moving in a new direction, then you'll be able to start identifying potential opportunities for employment. Okay, so talking about life after COVID, what does that mean? We're talking about workforce development. So that's either re-entry into the workplace or entry into the workplace if you haven't been previously employed. And I know it might be a scary time because we are experiencing something that we've never experienced before. Of course, as our governor has stated numerous times, this pandemic has really affected our state, our country, our nation. And so we have to figure out what's going to be our next steps and how we're going to make it through this transition and how we're going to survive it. Because as believers, we do believe that we are going to survive this pandemic and God is going to bring us out. And so we need to be prepared for that and what that next level of life is going to look like. So with regards to starting off with finding a job, let's just say that you're currently unemployed. My question to you would be, did you have a job before or did you have a career before? Because there is a difference. A job is something that you go to every day and you have no love or passion for, whereas a career is perhaps you don't like the specific tasks that you have been assigned, however, you love the work that you do. It brings joy for you to do that particular type of work. And so if you find yourself at a crossroads currently and you say to yourself, I hated my job that I had before, I hated getting up in the morning and I hated going to work, now is the perfect opportunity to use the time that God has given us to sit down and reflect and be with ourselves, to say to yourself, what do I like to do? What am I good at? It's time for some personal reflection and some self-assessments. What are the things that I'm really good at? What are my strengths and what are my weaknesses? And to take the opportunity to do that, because that can also drive a career for you. Because more than likely, the things that you like to do, there is a career opportunity for it. So if you believe that you are called to give service to people, if you like talking to people, if you like helping people, serving people, if you like to knit, if you like to do things with the glue gun and bedazzle things, if you like to cook, if you like to knit, sew, all of those things are available to you with regards to opportunities. It's just about trying to identify them and then ascertain and go out and achieve those particular goals. So after you take some time and you try to figure out what you want to do, then it's like time for you to look for your job. And we're going to think about that in various ways. There's various ways for you to look for a job. And one of the resources that I want to bring to your attention is the Department of Labor's website. And if you go to labor.ny.gov, under Find a Job, which is right at the top, you'll see here in the header, you'll see all of these resources available to you. And this is a really great interactive tool. You can download some of these techniques to your phone. It's available in Apple as well as Android. You can save it to your computer. But this is a great opportunity for you to start doing some of that soul searching that we were just talking about. And so when you go to find the job tab, there's various things that you can do. You can start your job search. You can look by region. You can look by current job fairs and recruitments. Now, of course, because of the pandemic, the job fairs and the outside recruitments that the Department of Labor normally does have been put on hold. But as soon as we get permission from the governor to go back to what we might consider to be life as normal, then these things will be posted here, these opportunities will be posted here. You can look by occupation, you can look by zip code. But what's most important that I'd like to draw your attention to is this resource that's provided by the United States Department of Labor. And it's called the Occupational Outlook Handbook. And I printed out a copy just so you can see it, but what will happen is when you go to the website, it'll bring you to another screen. And what's important about this is it has every possible occupation in the nation identified alphabetically. And so you can click on any occupation and you can see what the salary, what the median salary is nationwide or in your particular community. You can look for on the job training opportunities. You can look for the number of jobs that's projected in that particular field. And you can look at the growth rate, which means that you can see, is there going to be mobility options for you in this particular career path? So if you don't know what you want to do, this is a great place for you to start. And this is a great tool for you. And again, it's available online at our website, again, labor.ny.gov. And so now you have done your job search and you're trying to figure out what you want to do. And like, how do I prepare for this new normal? How do I prepare to be competitive in this new market? And there's many of things that you're going to do, and we're going to break it into 3 compartments today. We're going to talk about first the professional aspect, which encompasses your job search and networking opportunities, your interviewing skills, and then your resume, cover letter, and job applications. Next, we're going to talk about health and wellness. And then finally, we will finish with the mental and spiritual aspect, because all of these things encompass you being a well-rounded person to be able to re-enter into society, especially in a hostile job market of uncertainty. And so you want to be able to present your best selves in doing that. So the first thing is to look and see what's changing. If you're watching the governor's press conferences, if you're looking at the news, if you're watching media, the world is in a hectic and traumatic state right now. But again, we're all going to come out of it, but we have to be prepared to what that's going to look like. So how we've done business before is not going to be our new normal, and we need to start preparing for that now. So for instance, the use of technology is going to be a big thing that you can focus on to make yourself more marketable in this new climate. Part of that is making yourself available for telecommuting opportunities, meaning working from home. If you don't have a computer right now, if you don't have a phone or technology, start looking into ways that you might be able to obtain that. There's resources available to you online. There's people that can help you to attain that particular technology. But a lot of employers now are conducting interviews like we are doing today, like via Facebook or a webinar. And so you want to be able to be comfortable, not like me, but you want to be able to be comfortable in front of the camera and be able to sell yourself and to be able to be personable, even if you're not in the room with the person or people who are interviewing you. And that takes work to be able to focus on the lens, especially if you're on your phone or your iPad or a laptop, where you don't feel like you're making direct eye contact with that person. Being able to ensure that you are properly framed. The last thing you want is for people to be looking up your nose or to have your phone too close to your face and you're blocking it, or that you're in an inappropriate space. You don't want to conduct an interview from your bathroom. I'm sure you have a very nice shower curtain. However, no one wants to see the toilet bowl in your shot as you're doing your interview. I know you want to say amen to that. Amen. So you want to make sure that you identify a place in your home that's going to be appropriate for you to conduct interviews or to conduct any other kinds of conversations or opportunities that may present themselves. Also, you want to take an opportunity to hone skills. There's a plethora of resources available, free resources online. If you're not familiar with Microsoft Office, the Office Suite, now's the time for you to familiarize yourself with that. There's free tutorials on YouTube. There's free tutorials on the Microsoft.com webpage, and it's everything from Word to PowerPoint, Excel, and you can start to develop your own skills at your own pace. They have different levels of classes that you can take to be able to be proficient or become proficient in these particular skills. If you already have some working knowledge of the Microsoft Office suite, now is the time for you to expand upon those skills and to bring those skills into a higher level so that you can excel in certain things, because employers are going to be looking for people who can navigate technology in a seamless fashion. So that's something that you can do immediately in the comfort of your own home with the things that you have available to you. And again, if you don't necessarily have a computer or a smartphone where you can download these things, reach out to some of our community partners where you might be able to identify some of those resources for you to help you be able to start working and developing these skills. Also included in each Office product are templates for you to look at. So for instance, in Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Excel, again, if you click on the File tab and go under New, they will give you thousands of examples of different things: cover letters, resumes, letters, memos, timesheets, organization charts, different things so that you can start familiarizing yourself with certain different types of paperwork that might be required in certain spaces. So for instance, if you're looking for office type opportunity, then look for products that might be produced in the office, whether it be letters, correspondence, memos, reports. Those things they have examples of those in the Microsoft Office product line. Again, Google is our great friend. It's a great resource. You could do sample templates, sample letters, sample memoranda, do those things and start looking at those opportunities and examples so that you can start familiarizing yourself if you're not familiar. So that's an excellent way to start building some of the skills and building upon your soft skills. So now you're talking, you've done that, you've started looking for a job, and you want to get ready to do your resume. And now let's turn our attention to resumes and resume building. Now your resume is your individual summary of your background, experience, and skills. It's your opportunity to sell yourself on one or two pieces of paper. Now on the Department of Labor's website, there is a resource for you that says find the career that you love, resumes, cover letters, and job applications. And in that document, it gives you sample resumes, sample cover letters, and sample job applications. And it gives you a phraseology that you can use for your resume. It talks about transferable skills, and it talks about how to write and create something that's going to be a personal product for you. And so what I like to focus on is kind of like the most common mistakes. In my history and my career of hiring people and looking at resumes and reviewing and interviewing people, there's some things that I've noted that I'd like to bring to your attention, and hopefully you'll be able to find some of these things useful. First of all, when you look at a template, those are templates for a reason. They're to be examples. It's not a cut and paste opportunity for you to put your name on someone else's skill sets, because then it becomes no longer personal. And the reason why I say that is because I actually had the opportunity to interview a young woman a few weeks ago, and on her resume it stated that she was proficient in Microsoft Word products. And so I asked her, I said, well, which Microsoft Word products are you proficient in? And she looked at me and she said, what does proficient mean? So clearly that's going to be a problem for you. You don't want to use terminology on your resume that you can't identify, that you don't know what it means. You also don't want to take this opportunity to lie or expound upon skills that you may not have, because those things, if it gets found out, either when you get hired or immediately thereafter, it could be considered fraudulent, and of course that's going to have a bad result. So it's just better for you to identify and highlight the things that you can do, the positive things that you bring to the table, and the skills and areas of opportunities that you have learned previously in other places of employment. So some of the common mistakes is not making your cover letters and your resume personal. And what I mean by that is that you give the same resume and cover letter for every job. So basically you go online, let's say you go to monster.com and you want to apply for 30 jobs. You send the same resume and the same cover letter to all 30 jobs. More than likely you will not be able to produce. That method will not produce an interview for you, because those resumes are not tailored to the position. When an interviewer or potential interviewer is looking at a resume, you want to be able to feel that the person who's interviewing for your particular job is that resume is tailored for that particular job. And sometimes it may require you to change and have different formats for your resume. Sometimes it's okay to put your resume in chronological order. Sometimes you may need to identify and cut your resume up and list it by experience, because some of your experience that pertains to that particular job that you're applying for is not in chronological order. So for instance, I teach I'm an adjunct professor at a local college in the area, and so my classes, I taught at 2 different schools, and it's a block between my job when I worked for the Division of Housing and my last teaching position. So I put other relevant experience and put all of my teaching experience together. That is in chronological order, and then before that I put professional experience, and I outline my professional experience for that particular job. So that's another way that you can format your resume to make it more personal. You also want to make sure that you're using language in that particular field. So if you're applying to an agency, you don't want to refer to it as an office or department. Those are generic terms. You want to make your information personal. Making sure that your cover letter and resume is free from typographical errors is an important must. You must proofread it. Microsoft Office has a spell check. Make sure you use the spell check, and then ask someone else to proofread it as well. As we all know, using our smartphones sometimes, autocorrect can make something look like it's right and it's not. And so the last thing you want is to show that you do not pay attention to detail by submitting a resume that has errors in it. You also want to make sure that you use phrases that are relatable to the employer. So if you work somewhere that has acronyms or they have their own speak, don't assume that the person that you're interviewing for understands that talk. So you don't want to put acronyms on your resume. You want to write the word out first and then perhaps put it in parentheses and then use that acronym moving forward, but you don't want to shorten it by just assuming that a person is going to know what you mean, because they're not going to take the time to look up those acronyms to figure out what you're talking about. You also don't want to have a resume that's too long. You know, typically a resume is 2 pages, and if you have a long-standing career, this is your opportunity to, again, instead of going with the chronological method, using an experience-based method where you put the relevant experience at the front and then you put other experience towards the bottom, and then you just have to list dates as opposed to duties and descriptions. And so you want to make sure that you're giving a good package. Now that resumes and cover letters are being accepted online, that's great. You want to make sure that you are submitting them accurately. You want to make sure that you're careful with submitting your resumes and cover letters through Google Docs. A lot of employers have Google Docs blocked, and so therefore they will not be able to have access to your resume and or cover letter, and they may not contact you to ask you to resubmit. So if you want to submit your resume that way, I would encourage you to call the employer first to ask them if it's an acceptable method of submitting your documentation. You don't want to barrage your employer or your prospective employer with a lot of emails or a lot of confirmations. You don't want to resubmit your resume 10 and 15 times. I understand that you want to kind of ensure that they're getting it, but also you want to make sure that you're sending a right message and not being duplicative. So there's a balance that goes on for that. And so you want to be careful about that. So you want to look for a resume style that projects who you are. And there's many, many templates available online. Like I said, you can go through Microsoft Office Suite, or you could just do a Google resume template and then see what other people have done. And again, it's more about the visual aspect of the resume as opposed to the actual language. Now again, there's nothing wrong with you looking for phraseology, phrases to explain the work that you've done. If you don't have the words, or if you want to make it sound more succinct, that's fine. What I am cautioning you against is cutting and pasting entire descriptions and just plopping those things down into your resume. So after you get your resume and you submit it and you get called for an interview, you're excited and you're ready to go, right? Or maybe not so much. How do you prepare for your interview? Well, there's a few things that you can do to do that, especially in light of COVID, because interviewing, like I stated briefly earlier, may change. The first thing is being comfortable with technology, being comfortable with doing an interview via Skype and or Zoom or other types of social media. You also want to be able to practice. Mock interviews are very important. You want to find someone that you can interview with and set up, get dressed up, and have someone ask you those real life questions so that you can be comfortable. You also want to take an opportunity, if you have more than one friend, to do a panel interview, because now a lot of employers are doing panel interviews so that you can get more than one person's perspective on that particular candidate. And so you want to practice making eye contact with everyone, engaging them in conversation with your body language, making sure that even though maybe the middle person is asking you a question, but you're directing your answer to the person on the left and also on the right, making sure that you're engaging and that your body language is suggesting at all times that you are paying attention, that you are in tune, that you're present in the interview, and that you care about the situation that you're currently in. can. Nothing says I don't want a job than poor body language and poor posture. A person who does not appear to be confident, a person who is sighing and droopy and sad, and that person clearly does not want a job. And so what you want to be able to do is sell yourself. You are the best advocate for you. And if you can't sell yourself, then who can? So you have to be confident when you go into these rooms. You have to be confident and know that you are an asset, and they're going to gain something great if they hire you. And it's going to be to their benefit. And it's also an opportunity for you to show them that you're not desperate, even though you may be. Your mind may be saying that, but your body language says something else. Your body language says that you're confident and that you want me to work for you, because this is going to make your company, it's going to make your operation better. It's also your opportunity to interview the interviewee. So when they say, do you have any questions at the end of the interview, perhaps you've taken the opportunity to Google, questions that I should ask in an interview, and you'll see the standard questions. But outside of that, that's your opportunity to really find out who you're going to be working for. So perhaps you want to ask them, what's my supervisor's, if I were to get this position, what's my supervisor's name? What are they like? What are their expectations? How do they run and manage their particular office? Will you be my supervisor? What does that workday look like with regards to that manager? Because when you ask for what's a typical workday, that's subjective. And so what you want to try to get to is, what's a workday like with this particular manager that's going to be assigned to you? It's an opportunity for you to find out what the company is like, what the office is like, how it's run. If you get a chance to get the name of the interviewer before you go into your interview, take time to Google that person, look them up on LinkedIn, see if there's something that you can bring to them in common. If you find out that they've been working at this particular office for 15 years, you might want to say, oh, I saw online on LinkedIn that you've been in your with this corporation for 15 years. How did you move up? Why do you stay? And then when they say something that's positive, you connect that and say, that's something that I'm looking for. That's something that I'm looking to achieve. I'm looking for an opportunity to grow and create opportunities for myself, and I would like to get into management. That's your opportunity to not only make yourself personable and to sell yourself, but to connect with your interviewer. That's how you're going to distinguish yourself from the person that comes in before you that may be as equally qualified. But it shows that you are in tune to that particular person and to position, because you've taken time to research not only the office and the position, but the person, if that information is available. And so it's about making it personal. And a lot of times people will get tripped up on questions because they'll say, well, do you have experience in this? And you really don't have experience in that, but that's okay. You don't say, no, I don't have experience in that, and let it go. So for instance, I'm an attorney and I don't know every area of law. So let's say I applied for a job at a construction firm, and I don't know construction law, and they ask me, do you know construction law? I say, no, I'm not familiar with that particular area of law, but I have over 15 years of experience in legal work research and analytics. And so therefore, the law typically is written the same, and so I know how to read, write, and analyze law. My learning curve is short, and I'm sure I'll be able to learn this area of law in a fast-paced fashion. I'm sure that the office has tools and resources for me to utilize as well. So you connect your previous history to clear up the area of deficiency and say, no, I don't have that, but I can do it. And that's how you always want to end a conversation. You never want to end a conversation on a negative. Do you have extensive experience in Microsoft Office? No, I don't. However, I am an avid Facebook user, and I have used documents that require text. And I'm pretty sure that I'll be able to learn that. I understand that there's free resources available, and I'm not afraid to attempt to try new challenges and things of that nature. So you always want to turn negative if you feel like you don't have that particular gap met. Bring in your transferable skills and show them why you're going to be an asset. Show them that you can think fast on your feet and that you're not afraid of new challenges. And that's how you're going to separate yourself. Because coming out of COVID-19, there's going to be thousands of job seekers looking for potential opportunities that you're looking for. And if you get a chance to interview, you definitely want to separate yourself immediately from the rest. And part of that is having an excellent interview and coming in and being prepared. The best preparation for tomorrow is the right use of today. So you can start preparing for the job that you want today. You can start, if you feel like you don't interview well, you can start practicing right now, practicing in the mirror, practicing with friends and family, practicing with other professionals, looking up sample questions. When you look up sample questions online, you can also look up sample answers. Once you see the sample answers, you'll know what not to say because everybody else might be doing the same thing. So that's your opportunity again to separate yourself. And now I'd like to speak to some of